Hey everyone, today we're going to look at how to install WireGuard on a Raspberry Pi. Now WireGuard is an awesome VPN client that you could use. It's super simple to install, it's very fast, and it's very reliable. So to complete this tutorial, you're going to need a Raspberry Pi, and you're going to need to be able to SSH into that Raspberry Pi, or you're going to need to be able to get to the terminal in some way. If you aren't sure how to do that, I'll leave a link in the description that'll show you how to SSH into a new Raspberry Pi. You will also need DDNS set up if you don't have a static external IP address. I just created a video on how you could set up DDNS on a Raspberry Pi, so I will leave that in the description as well, and that is a prerequisite to this video if you don't have a static external IP address. So before we get started, I just want to mention that I have full written instructions in the description where you'll be able to follow along with this entire process. So first, make sure that your Raspberry Pi is properly updated, and as soon as you do that, you're going to be able to run a curl statement which has a PyVPN script in it. And that script will pretty much configure your system, and it will bring you into the PyVPN installation process. So when you first enter into it, you're going to run through a few screens, and then it's going to bring you to a section where it brings up your DHCP reservation. So the best thing to do is make a DHCP reservation in your router. The reason for this is because your router then won't attempt to hand out that IP address to a different client. If you can't do that, meaning your router doesn't allow you to set DHCP reservations, you're going to have to try and set up a static IP address during this setup process. For me, I already have my IP address static based on my router settings, so I'm going to proceed through this. Next thing you're going to do is pick a local user, and for most people that will be Pi. And then you're going to move on to the next step, which is going to ask you to pick a VPN type. So the PyVPN client allows you to configure OpenVPN and WireGuard. In this tutorial, we're going to look at how to configure WireGuard, so select that and move on to the next steps. At this point, your Raspberry Pi might inform you that there's a new kernel update that you have to run in order to proceed. So run that update, and then it's going to reboot your system. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to actually start over from step 1 and run that script again, that PyVPN script, to get back to this point. But as soon as you do, you'll be able to proceed with the WireGuard installation. So after WireGuard finishes installing, it's going to come up and it's going to ask you which port you'd like to use for WireGuard. So the default is 51820. You can leave this as default. If you want to change it, this is the time that you'll change it. But after you do that, you'll be able to confirm that these settings are correct. So the next section is going to ask you to set up a DNS provider. So this is the DNS provider that will be used when you connect to your WireGuard VPN. If you are using Pi-hole or a local DNS server, you're going to have to pick custom here, and it will bring you to the next step where you'll have to put those static IP addresses. If you are not using a local DNS server, you can just select your favorite DNS provider from this list. You'll then be asked to confirm your upstream DNS providers, and you can select yes here. At the next step, it's going to ask how you want to connect to this WireGuard VPN server. So if you have a static IP address and you're absolutely positive of that, you can simply use your public IP address. However, if you don't have a static IP address, what you need to do is you need to select DNS entry here, and you need to use a DDNS hostname. If you aren't sure how to configure that, once again, I have a link in the description that will show you how to easily set up DuckDNS on your Raspberry Pi. My external IP address is not static, so I'm going to go through and I'm going to set up a public DNS name, which is my DDNS hostname. The final setting that we're going to configure is unattended upgrades. So this pretty much just allows your system to upgrade in the background. You definitely want to keep this on. You just have to note that you need to periodically reboot your Raspberry Pi. As soon as you do that, it's going to inform you that you're actually done with the installation process and you can move on to creating profiles. At this time, your Raspberry Pi is going to reboot, so let it reboot, and then we're going to move on to the next section. So now we have to make a few configuration changes, and we need to actually create our profiles. However, I want to take a minute and quickly explain the two VPN connection types that you can create. So I'm going to simplify this as much as I possibly can and as quickly as I possibly can. You can create a split tunnel VPN and you can create a full tunnel VPN. The only thing that you need to know is that with a split tunnel VPN, only local traffic will go through your VPN server, in this case WireGuard. So if you try and connect to a network share or you try and connect to a server at your house, only that traffic will go through your VPN server. If you try and connect to Google, for example, it will automatically route it through the network that you're currently on. Now with a full tunnel VPN, all of your traffic is routed through your home network. So if you try and get to Google, for example, Google will receive your request as if it is coming from your house, even though you are connected through your VPN. This is important to note because if you are trying to secure your connection on a public Wi-Fi, for example, you have to use a full tunnel VPN connection. If you use a split tunnel VPN connection, you're not going to get any of those security benefits. So when we run through the profile creation, I always create two different profiles. I create one split tunnel VPN profile and I create one full tunnel VPN profile. And I do it this way because depending where I am, I'll use either the split tunnel or I'll use the full tunnel. It just gives me a lot of flexibility and it's so easy to set up that there's really no reason not to. However, if you don't want to, you don't have to. So we're going to move on to a few configuration file changes. And these changes are made on a file that exists in the WireGuard directory, and you have to be root to actually edit this file. So the next thing that we're going to add is a post up and post down rule. Now this rule may not be mandatory for you. In the majority of tutorials out there, they tell you to add this, and there's a good chance that it's not going to hurt anything if you do add it. But if you're only using a full tunnel VPN, there's a good chance that everything just works as is. If you are using a split tunnel VPN, these commands are required. You have to add the post up and post down rule to this config file because these rules are created to route traffic. So without them, you might have trouble accessing your local resources or even external resources. So if for whatever reason you set everything up and it's not working and you don't have these two lines in, go back to the config file and add them. If you're interested in knowing exactly what these rules do, check out the written instructions because I tried to break it down as best and easily as I could. So when you're done with this file, save it and exit, and we're going to move on to creating a VPN profile. Now, creating a VPN profile is actually really easy, and all you need to do is you need to run a quick command that allows you to enter a name for your profile, and then it will pretty much generate everything behind the scenes. So I'm going to go through and I create two different profiles, one for split tunnel and one for full tunnel. We then need to make a few changes to these config files. So navigate to the configs folder and then we're going to edit the VPN split tunnel file. So there's a few things that we need to note here. By default, WireGuard configures everything as a full tunnel VPN connection. And the way that you know that is in the allowed IP section. If you see 0.0.0.0, that means that all traffic will be routed through your WireGuard server. If you want to create a split tunnel connection, the way that you do it is in that allowed IP section, you're going to enter your local LAN. This tells WireGuard only route traffic to these IP addresses through this VPN server. So keep in mind that if you want to try and communicate with the VPN subnet, meaning that VPN clients need to speak to other VPN clients, you need to add a second IP range in here, which is the WireGuard VPN subnet that we created earlier. So after you make those changes to the split tunnel file, everything will be set up as it needs to be. The full tunnel file will be good by default, and then the split tunnel file is only allowing traffic to our local IP subnet and our VPN subnet. All other traffic will flow through the network that we're currently connected to. So there's one more change that we're going to make to the config file. So we need to go back to the WireGuard config file that we edited earlier. And this setting will be totally based on the use case that you have. But if you need to keep a connection alive, meaning that you have an offsite server somewhere and it needs to stay connected to your VPN at all times, but it's not really doing much, you need to add a persistent keep alive line to that specific peer's config section. The easiest way to explain this is every 25 seconds, a packet gets sent to that VPN server so that it keeps that connection alive and doesn't close it. There's now two final things that we need to do. One of them is mandatory and one of them is optional. So when you set up WireGuard earlier and you specified the port that you wanted to use, you need to go into your router and you need to port forward that specific UDP port to your Raspberry Pi. If you aren't sure how to do that, I have a link in the written instructions that'll show you how to do it on a bunch of different routers. Now the next thing that you can do, and this is the optional step, the first one was mandatory. You can create a static route in your router which will allow your local subnet to access your VPN subnet. So if you're trying to connect to a client that is connected from your WireGuard VPN, you need to have a static route set up in your router so that your clients know where to route that traffic. The static route will be the WireGuard VPN subnet, and the gateway will be the Raspberry Pi's IP address. If you don't have this set up, you will not be able to access VPN clients from your local network. It will work in the reverse, meaning that your VPN clients will be able to connect to your local clients, but you will not be able to access them from your local network to your VPN network. So WireGuard is now fully configured. You created your VPN profiles, you port forwarded the correct port on your router, and you also created a static route if you wanted to do that. The next thing to do is add your profile to whatever device you want to actually use this with. So if you're using the mobile application, the easiest thing that you can do is actually create a QR code. It's so easy and it's so awesome. But you run a command to create a QR code, download the mobile application on your phone, and then scan this QR code, and everything will be set up properly. If you're using either the Windows, Mac, or Linux client, you'll have to copy the contents of that configuration file to those devices. And I'm saying contents because you don't have to physically move that config file. You can simply copy the contents of the file, create a file with the same name, and then import them into the WireGuard configuration. So at this time, assuming that you're connected from an external network, you should be able to connect to your VPN and access your local resources. So this was a really long tutorial where we broke down every step, but I'm hopeful that you understand why we set everything up the way that we did and how it will work moving forward. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Thanks, guys.